And we're back! Hi, everybody! Yeah, it's been kind of a journey. And this is take 7. But I think we're finally there. And it's gonna happen. So, like the video if you appreciate my efforts, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more fun feminist stuff. And, maybe give the algorithm a heads up that you'd like to see more of this kind of thing. That'd be great. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Sarah, and tonight we're going to be talking to Cynthia about femininity. Which, not turning back now. Femininity should absolutely be in the purview of feminism, right? But it really doesn't have a whole lot to say on the topic. And it's one of those things that's deceptively simple, right? Because everybody talks about it like they know what it is, but nobody seems to be able to define it very clearly.
I'm drinking a hot cup of coffee today because our video is probably going to be a little bit more intensive. Hello, lovely feminine friends. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here. I wanted to tell you that I apologize for the different setting. This is the only room in my house that I can use, and my cat is nearby, and you might see him kind of crawling around me because he is very lovable.
I don't know why she's apologizing for her cat. But, my cat's actually around here somewhere too. Funnily enough.
Okay. If you are new to my channel, please hit the red subscribe button as well as the like button on these videos because it helps propel the femininity message throughout the internet. Myself, as well as many other content creators on the internet, are really kind of creating this movement, this type of femininity revolution that is so important for the younger generation.
Really? She literally hashtagged this video, the femininity revolution. Okay? And, I can actually see why this kind of thing might be intriguing for some young women, and we'll get into that in a minute.
My name is Cynthia. I am a millennial homemaker. Of course, I am a wife, and I'm also a former Miss Earth Canada.
I just want to say she's like 25. So, clearly is full of sage advice for the younger generation, eh?
As you can already tell on my channel, I talk about femininity and I also talk about homemaking. Today's video was actually inspired by a negative comment that I received a few days ago, and it's kind of prompted me to have a conversation with some of my friends, and in that conversation, we brought up a few excellent points.
Well, of course, we would all say that about our friends, right? Hopefully. But, she doesn't share with us what this comment was, which on, the 5th or 6th viewing of this struck me as actually sort of odd, right? Because, for example, Karen Davis will do her infamous catnip series and read them verbatim to us. And she's far from the only person I've seen do that. She doesn't even, but Cynthia here doesn't even share with us a basic synopsis of whatever it was that upset her so much.
So if you are my friend and we had that conversation, I thank you so much because this is partially inspired by you. Now, I've already talked about...
And again, I've seen this way too many times, but did anybody else catch that microaggression? So you are my friend. And we had that conversation. Okay.
About how on the internet there is this influx of many women talking about femininity. And if you are somebody who wants to start an Instagram, a blog, a Twitter, whatever social media, a YouTube, reach out to me and I'm so happy to support you. That being said, I do kind of find that there's a little bit of confusion on the internet with what femininity truly is.
She's right on both counts. I've run into several other young women, a lot like Cynthia here. Cynthia, I believe, is Christian. I don't know that she's directly connected to any white supremacists, but, it really doesn't matter. It's the same. This is actual, the colonial construct thing. This is the real one. White femininity has always been an advertisement for colonialism. Everybody knows that, right? I thought we all knew this.
We might see a very feminine woman, and we might think to ourselves that femininity in that woman is special or particularly remarkable and singular to that woman. However, there is a confusion between what personality is as well as what femininity is. If femininity was this elusive thing that we could not attain, there wouldn't be a point of me sharing it on the internet. There wouldn't be a point of me teaching you how to be feminine. In one of my first videos ever, I talked about how femininity is on a type of range, a type of spectrum, with masculinity on one end and femininity on the other. We often hear people tell us that femininity is complementary to masculinity because we tend to think that opposite means something negative. You are either...
Okay. So we're being told that they're complementary and not opposite. Or something. Right? And this spectrum thing is fun because she's about to show us something that is not a spectrum. She's about to show us, I guess, the two opposite extremes of the spectrum. Which, is general to the point of uselessness.
Good or you are either bad. But just because something is complementary, just like on the color wheel, doesn't mean that it isn't an opposite. Feminine traits are rather objective, just like masculine traits are objective.
First of all, that color wheel thing is the only solid metaphor she manages to make in this video. But like, how exactly are masculine and feminine traits objective? What unit do you measure femininity in? What tool do you measure femininity with?
I have linked a few diagrams down below that I will probably also include somewhere.
And she does. There's a link in the description to this video that leads you to an article which she says she does not endorse because it advocates for balance. And I don't know why left is masculine and right is feminine, because I thought that, you know, the left, the sinister, was the feminine traditionally. I don't know. But these are, you know, what is this? Where's my favorite one here? We got doing is masculine and planning is feminine. But like, what is he doing if he doesn't have a plan? And what is she planning if she's not going to do anything? This is nonsense.
Are here on the screen so that you can actually see what feminine and masculine traits are. Now, there are some characteristics of femininity and masculinity that are used interchangeably. For example, confident. You can be a masculine man and confident, and you can be a feminine woman and confident. The difference lies in the way in which we apply confidence. Masculine confidence would be more rooted in the doing of an action, and feminine confidence would be more rooted in the feeling of when you are performing a certain activity.
What? So he has to do it with confidence, but he better not feel that confidence. What? What are you saying?
Example. Now back to what I was talking about in terms of the spectrum. So you as an individual, you might embrace many feminine characteristics, but in your life, you might also possess masculine characteristics. What?
Okay. And this is where I feel obligated to point out that that's pretty much arbitrary. You know, what you might consider feminine or masculine, a different person might consider something else. A different culture might consider something else. You know, it changes across time and place, and we all know this, right? It's arbitrary. And, you know, what you're describing as having a personality.
What tends to make an individual unique is that they have a different blend of both of these characteristics. However, in the femininity community, and what I have found prevalent among many women, is that we try to have a majority of our characteristics be feminine. For example, many women...
So what you're saying is that you try and squeeze yourselves into that box. That's what we're talking about here, right? The, you know, Susie Homemaker 1950s housewife box. That was a fantasy to begin with. And it's been pretty well documented how trying to live that fantasy made us miserable.
And this is kind of like a buzzword in the femininity community, but we try to develop the way in which we are nurturing. Nurturing is an inherently feminine trait. This means that as a
No, it's not. Animals can be nurturing. You're trying to tell me men can't be nurturing? And imagine how different the world would be if men were encouraged to be nurturing.
And in women, you strive to develop your nurturing side, and it actually is an attainable characteristic.
Yes, and everyone should develop.
Lives. We will have families, we will have husbands, and so nurturing and our desire to form connections with people in our lives might tend to play out similarly to another feminine woman.
To another human being. Because what you just described, Cynthia dear, is a set of experiences that I think most of us will have to some degree or another at some point in our lives. You know, except maybe the husband part.
Moreover, the way in which you speak, the way in which you act, the way in which you even move your hands in a cyclical manner, these are all feminine things. These are all things that I try to teach you on my channel. And these are all characteristics that are distinctly different from masculinity.
Why? How? You've said that it's quantifiable. Lay out the numbers for us, darling.
Now, the part where I think many people get confused about when they're trying to achieve femininity is that they confuse it with personality. You can adopt and you can try to develop all your feminine traits, which might be similar to another woman, which actually is probably going to be similar to me. But the difference...
Yes, because we're supposed to be imitating you, right?
difference lies in your personality, your interests, the things that you like. For example... A very feminine trait. I have a YouTube channel here as well as other similar you like. For example, collaboration is a very feminine trait. I have a YouTube channel here as well as other similar social media platforms, and I try to collaborate.
Okay, point of order. Objection. collaboration is not a uniquely feminine trait. Men collaborate just fine. They have collaborated for eons to exclude women from lots of things, right? They have collaborated to create things like the shipping industry and the stock market and like hierarchies of all kinds and flavors and shapes. They love to collaborate on that shit, don't they?
Collaborate with you lovely feminine women. But if you are a career woman, collaboration is going to look different for you because perhaps your interests lie in the field in which you are working in. For example, if you're an engineer, you might have the feminine trait of collaboration, but your way of expressing that collaboration is going to differ on your personality because your personality...
Okay, engineers better collaborate because otherwise we're going to be driving on some extremely unsafe bridges. Secondly, I don't know. That seems like a pretty unfeminine profession choice from where I'm sitting, darling.
Has the interest in engineering. You kind of have to think about it like math. There is one specific goal. There's one specific answer, which is going to be all your feminine traits. The difference lies in the way in which you solve the math problem.
I love this. Because, like, honey, did you take a math class? I think that I failed the most things in my math classes because I would get the right answer, but I would do the equation wrong. So I would get points off for that, right? So that's not how math works.
Femininity is not an infinite and unlimited thing. There are thousands of ways in which you can live out that feminine trait, but at the end of the day, there are thousands of ways, and there is going to be an end, even if it is 100,000 ways. Similar to the aesthetic, we talk about feminine makeup, feminine style, feminine hair.
Okay, so here's this idea again that it's finite, it has boundaries, it is quantifiable. But again, she's still not telling us how. She's describing it, but she's not naming it, right? She's not actually spelling it out for us because it's assumed we all know, I guess. I don't know. And as far as, feminine style and hair, I don't really understand how hair, the marker of mammals the world over, can be feminine. Necessarily. And as for feminine makeup, well, that's redundant, isn't it? Because at this point, putting on makeup is what makes you a woman.
There are hundreds of different ways in which you can play out this femininity in your life, which is going to differ on your personality, because maybe you like a feminine blue color for your wardrobe, but I like a feminine pink color.
All right. Arbitrary. These are arbitrary things. You're making this up because, wait a minute, how you have a feminine blue color? Because blue is for boys. And a feminine pink is redundant because pink is for girls. Isn't that the foundation of what we're talking about here?
Those are still feminine. There is still an endpoint to femininity. There is still a range.
Okay, where is that endpoint? Could you put a stake in it? Could you actually draw the line there? Where would it be? I mean, I don't expect her to really have any idea, I guess, because she lives as far from that line as she can possibly be, right?
Your personality and what you...
Wait a minute. Here we go. It's a baby. It's a punky cat. Say hi, punky cat. The internet loves kitties. Oh, look how pretty. Yes, look how pretty my punky is. All right. Interlude over. Let's dive in again.
You prefer is linked to your femininity, kind of like science. It's correlated, but it is not causation. Correlation, but not causation. I think you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Elements are your...
You're hurting my head, actually. I'm only, I think, understanding maybe 60% of what you're saying. And I'm having to read between the lines for the rest of it. But I think you got that one.
Personality are ingrained in your femininity, but your personality is not directly linked to your femininity. The fact that I like conspiracy theories, science, as well as learning about outer space does not affect my femininity.
Okay. What I think she's saying is that your interests and your hobbies don't necessarily have to inform the way you interact with other people. Which, fair enough. Okay. But science, I'm pretty sure until pretty recently, was solidly coded as a masculine interest there, dear.
Way that I speak and the way that I carry myself, as well as the way that I interact with other people. I know that it's a little bit confusing, and I hope that you are still with me on this topic, but it really had me thinking.
No, but I haven't been with you since the beginning, so don't worry about that, I guess.
Thinking about the not like other girls culture, because many of us are living out our femininity, and we are like other girls. Because for many of us, our personality as well as our femininity will manifest itself in similar ways. However, I do think that there is a cultural push not to be like other girls, which causes certain women not to embrace their full femininity. And
she's right there. Also, right? that internalized misogyny that we all have, that's just so pervasive that we just sort of stew in all the time. Well, we don't stew in, we stew in the external misogyny and just absorb it, right, from the time wherever, right? To the point where, you know, after years of trying to dig mine out, I'm still finding nuggets of it lying around in there. And it's not just causing us to reject femininity, it's causing a lot of us to just reject womanhood as altogether. You know, having top surgery and going on T and all that. You want to talk about the younger generation? We all know what trouble they're in, right? So what she's talking about is real. I think she's misinterpreted it quite a bit. But you know, we leave the door open for this kind of thing when we don't give women, you know, young women who want to be women, anything to, you know, hold on to. Feminism has nothing to say to young women who don't, you know, it's such a cliche to say that feminism wants women to be men. I think society wants women to be men. You know, and I don't think that feminism is standing up for us right now in any kind of way that we need. You know, we don't even know what we're talking about, do we? What is femininity? Well, I submit for your consideration. I submit for your consideration the idea that being feminine is doing things the female way. You know, as a woman. And that if you are doing something as a female, you're doing it the feminine way. Whatever that is. And whatever difference that makes from the way a man would do it, we don't even know, do we? You know, I've seen a couple of graphs that are supposed to show the differences between female and male behavioral patterns, and they're pretty striking. But you know, we don't. That's like the footprint of a different mindset. That's the germ of the identity that we need. But we don't want to nurture that because we've been so conditioned to reject everything that marks us out as uniquely female.
And I think that it's really sad because it's kind of infiltrating a little bit the femininity movement.
And that is really sad. The internalized misogyny is even getting to the girly girls. That is really sad.
So I guess with that, my take-home message would be to actually study what femininity is.
Girl, I'm trying. You're not helping much.
Listen to me as well as other content creators, but understand that femininity is a type of objective, quantifiable set of characteristics.
Which are what? It wasn't that chart you showed us earlier, because that was just so general and completely uninformative of anything, you know, material or any kind of nuance whatsoever. That's not helpful. To, you know, is that a list of qualities that I'm supposed to aspire to? You know, only the one on the right hand side, obviously. Because again, they're general to the point of not describing anything real. They're ideals. Which you cannot literally embody an ideal for more than like a few seconds, right? Because you're human and you're gonna fart or trip over your own feet or something. Which brings me, speaking of charts, back to the article that she links in the description to this video, which she explicitly says she does not endorse because it advocates for balance. But below that article, one of the comments reads thusly: if you act like a man, you reject the feminine part. That is worse than acting, because you are rejecting an important part of yourself. It's better just to act as yourself. And the idea that a woman can be masculine, mannish, whatever, I think the mannish is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, that's a projection. A woman cannot be manly. Like, that's not a thing. Okay? Women can do and express and embody just about everything that men can, and vice versa. That doesn't, maybe those things aren't inherently one or the other then. Crazy thought. And I know that traditionally that is how, culture has thought of these things. But, like, again, it just doesn't hold up, does it? These ideals, I think, are based on concepts that go back to, primordial times. And I don't know, we've reevaluated a whole lot of things. Why isn't feminism reevaluating who and what women are?
Your particular mix of masculine and feminine might differ based on your life, and because of your personality, you might use your femininity in different ways. But I really do encourage you to learn about what femininity is.
Girl, I'm trying. And, like, again, any one of us might be able to sit down and sort of make a list of what is organic and what is artificial. Like, where do women end and patriarchy begin? And why doesn't feminism have anything to say about that? And why doesn't feminism have anything to say to young women who want to be women? That should be exactly who we are working for, right? I'm just putting that out there. And anybody who wants to, come at me with a definition of femininity, please do. That would be really cool. I would love to hear any of your thoughts. Like the video if you, found this interesting, and subscribe to the channel for more of my technological struggles and my bathrobe. Because, production note, I have decided I'm not really going to mess with backgrounds or costumes or any of that stuff for right now, because it just takes, a little bit of extra just energy that I don't apparently have to give right now. But we're not giving up. We're plowing forward. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for sticking with me and with Cynthia. What is femininity? We're going to talk more about that next time. Right now, I'm going to go off and find something else to bitch about. See you next time.